The day I set my wedding date, the rags to riches ingenue sent my childhood sweetheart a breakup text and flew abroad with a broken heart. My sweetheart immediately postponed the wedding and chased the girl overseas. Hannah is all alone in a foreign country, I can't rest easy. Once I coax her back, we'll hold the ceremony. He was convinced I couldn't live without him. So after he left, I kept the wedding exactly as planned, because from start to finish it had nothing to do with him. Late that night a ringtone jolted me awake. Half asleep, I swiped accept. A soft voice floated through the speaker. "Big sis Aster, I'm flying out tomorrow. Guess whether he will come for me?" I didn't reply. I shut eyes that the phone's glare had stung. I knew he would. Even if knives fell from the sky, if Hannah needed him, he'd go. It felt pointless, so I hung up and blocklisted the number. Was that the third or fourth call from Hannah I'd nuked? I'd lost count. All I wanted now was my own life, no more bit part in Blake and Hannah's drama. 02. Early next morning, Willowbrook Manor's coordinator called. "Miss Sterling, sorry to disturb you so early, are you free? We have an urgent matter." Her anxious tone made me think the venue had caught fire, so I tensed. "I'm free, go ahead." "Mister, he just arrived and told us to stop decorating. He claims the date is delayed and we should wait for his green light." I blanked for 2 beats, the worry slid off my face and pure exasperation took its place. Hadn't I made myself clear? After the umpteenth time he sided with his charity case Hannah and painted me as the evil stepsister in heels, I'd walked away and blocklisted him. Yet here he was, deluded enough to assume he'd still be the groom next week. I laughed under my breath. Ignore him, he's a psycho. If he shows up again, toss him out. Reassured that the wedding was on, the coordinator hung up. I thought the farce was over, until Blake barged through my front door. Because our families are tight and we'd grown up together, the gate guard let him in. He stormed up, grabbed my wrist, eyes blazing. "What did you say to Hannah last night?" "This morning she sent me a farewell text, every word shredded. I already chose you, you'll be my wife any day." "Why rile her up? We're all girls here, can't you be kind?" The speech was so canned I burst out laughing. Why waste breath defending myself? I'd played this scene before, me screaming that I'd never sought Hannah out, Blake rattling off her resume of sorrows, dead mom, gambling dad, parasite brother, fragile yet fierce Hannah. I could recite it in my sleep, right down to the closer. "She's pitiful enough, why can't you give her a break?" I looked up, flat and bored. "You finished? Good, leave." My zero reaction made him explode. "Aster, that's your answer? You drive Hannah overseas and feel nothing? I misjudged you." I ignored the tantrum, lifted the landline, and dialed security. "Send 2 men, escort Blake out." Clenching his jaw, he spat, "Fine. Since you won't apologize, the wedding is postponed. Hannah's alone abroad, I have to bring her home. Then we'll marry. You'll explain the delay to your parents yourself." I rolled my eyes in disgust. "My wedding, what's it got to do with you? Who gave you the right to postpone anything? You're not the groom." Certain I was playing hard to get, he smirked. "We grew up together, finish each other's sentences. If I'm not the groom, who is?" I answered without missing a beat. "The groom is Adrian. Want me to conference him in?" I tapped the screen and a call connected instantly. "Aster, Mr. Vance is in a cross-border meeting." "Anything urgent?" his assistant asked. Before I could speak, Blake snapped, "Quit the act. You barely know Adrian, claiming he's the groom? Enough drama. Hannah's stranded, I have to go. Just sit tight till I'm back." On his way out he tossed over his shoulder, "Remove me from your block list, my patience isn't infinite." "Don't push it." I remembered the time I went to his office to look for him and ran into Hannah in his suite. "Aster, are you here for him?" Hannah asked, a freshly brewed latte in her hand, her voice syrupy and edged with provocation. Before I could answer, she stepped forward and tried to hand me the cup. I was about to refuse when she suddenly pitched forward. Most of the coffee splashed across my oatmeal-colored wool dress, staining it in seconds. "Oops, sorry," she said, a half-hearted apology laced with unmistakable triumph flickering in her eyes. I frowned and stepped back. "Do you have Parkinson's? Can't even hold a cup?" She raised the little that was left and poured it down her own white blouse, then reddened her eyes and ran out sobbing. 2 strides later she crashed straight into Blake. His gaze dropped to the coffee stain on her shirt. "What happened?" Hannah bit her lip, playing the injured dove. "It's my fault. I wanted to bring Aster coffee, I accidentally bumped her, and she got mad and threw it at me." Without asking, he turned on me. "Aster, that's enough. Hannah just started, she doesn't know the office yet. She brushed you once, why make a scene?" I looked at him and decided this relationship ended here. The coffee on my clothes far outweighed the splash on hers, yet he was blind to it. I gave a soft laugh, didn't bother opening my mouth, didn't see the point. When someone's heart tilts, explanations are useless. "Blake, we're done." He sneered, not taking me seriously. "Are you finished throwing your tantrum? Over this?" "I'm tired," I said wearily. "Tired of being a prop in your little play." I turned and walked away without a glance at Hannah's fake tears or his stunned face. Curbside, a black Bentley slid to a stop. The window lowered, revealing a face familiar yet distant. The man wore a dark suit, sharp brows, clear eyes, his voice calm. "I'm Adrian." I stared, needing a moment to place him. He had been my childhood playmate, our parents moved in the same circles. We'd spent summers together until the Vances shifted their empire overseas and he left, more than a decade ago. "Your dad asked me to pick you up. It's freezing, and you're soaked. Get in." He opened the door, I climbed in without protest. Adrian handed me a clean blanket, asked no questions, yet managed to spare every ounce of my dignity. Back home, I had barely changed when Dad appeared. Word of the coffee incident had already reached him. He studied me, voice heavy with heartache. "Good riddance. That boy isn't worthy of you. I'll speak to the Hawthorns, the engagement was business, if one fails, we find another. This Vance boy seems solid. Spend some time with him." A few days later Adrian paid a formal visit. No grand promises, just a quiet suggestion that we start as friends. We spent time together and discovered an easy fit. Both families approved, marrying him was no impulsive stunt. The day before the wedding, Adrian and I were rehearsing at Willowbrook Manor when my assistant hurried over with my iPhone. "Aster, it's been buzzing nonstop." I unlocked it. A string of no ID texts sprang open, photo after photo. Hannah leaning against Blake, fingers interlaced. Hannah and Blake kissing on a moonlit beach. The messages were blunt: "Aster, your wedding's tomorrow, but his with me right now. Walking down the aisle solo? Hilarious." I skimmed them, felt nothing but weary contempt. A flick of my thumb deleted the thread and blocked the number. Where do they buy all these burners? One blocked, 3 more pop up, how tiresome. The next day the ceremony went ahead on schedule. Among the guests I spotted his parents. As a child I'd raced through their mansion, they had treated me like a daughter. After the breakup they'd pressed generous compensation on me. Today their eyes held only honest blessings. The reception was lively, warm, flawless, nothing interrupted the joy. Across the ocean, in a foreign apartment, Blake settled Hannah under a quilt, then moved to the living room sofa and thumbed through Instagram. A random post from a guest popped up: "Wedding footage. the bride, veiled in white, walked the aisle away from the camera. The figure looked familiar, so much like Aster. His lips curled in an idle smile. He had calmed Hannah, time to fly home and settle things with Aster. Surely her temper had cooled. Before the thought finished, the bride in the clip turned toward the lens. The face that came into full view was unmistakably Aster. The smile on his face froze. His fingers trembled as he replayed the clip again and again, disbelief flooding his eyes. How could it look so much like Aster? He yanked open his contacts and dialed my number. But the earpiece delivered only the same icy automated message, still blocklisted. Unwilling to give up, he searched for me on every social app. Every screen flashed the identical refusal. After a moment of panic, he remembered to question the person who'd posted the video. The instant the call connected, his voice cracked with urgency. "Rowan. That wedding video you put on Instagram, the bride, is it Aster?" Rowan hesitated, then laughed softly. "Yes, it's Aster. Today's her big day, didn't you know?" "Who's the groom?" His voice was stretched so taut it quivered, as if an invisible fist had closed around his heart and lungs. "The groom is Adrian from J.P. Morgan," Rowan answered, unmistakably happy. "They look perfect together, gorgeous couple." Her sincere congratulations felt like needles pinning Blake in place. When the line went dead, Blake collapsed onto the couch, the phone slipped from his hand. Its screen still glowing on the wedding footage. He suddenly recalled that before he'd flown overseas, Aster had said the groom would not be him. At the time he'd dismissed it as a tantrum, a ploy to make him crawl back, nothing worth taking seriously. So, she had been telling the truth? He vaulted off the sofa, coat forgotten. Snatched the car keys and sprinted for the door, slamming it so hard the crash reverberated through the penthouse. In the bedroom, Hannah jolted awake, finding the space beside her empty. She shot up barefoot and ran out in panic. She intercepted him in the garage, fingers clamped around the driver's side door, eyes scarlet. "Blake, where are you going? You promised you'd stay here with me for a month." His head was already on the flight home to Aster. He had no patience for this. He jerked his arm free, voice like frost. "Stop making scenes. I've given you enough of my time, I have to fly back, now." What could be so urgent? Hannah clung on, voice cracking. "Take me with you, please, I'm scared here alone." He didn't spare her a glance or an answer. The engine roared and the Bentley shot forward, leaving her choking on exhaust. Inside the car, Blake white-knuckled the steering wheel, flooring the accelerator until the speedometer trembled, Aster's image burning through his thoughts. He had to reach the airport, had to get back, fast. Why hadn't she waited? Why marry Adrian? They'd been cold for barely 4 months, could those few months erase every year they'd shared? Yet the longer he drove, the more he soothed himself, voice laced with certainty. "Aster's only trying to make me jealous because I flew here with Hannah. She loves me, she'd never actually wed someone else. Right, this is just her throwing a tantrum." He screeched into the terminal, raced through check-in, and boarded the first red-eye home. The instant the seatbelt sign dimmed, his anxiety spiked again. He borrowed the flight attendant's phone, fingers shaking, and dialed my number. The moment it connected, he blurted, desperate and appeasing. "Aster, I'm back. Tomorrow morning I'll pick you up and we'll go get our license, okay? I was wrong to freeze you out, wrong to let you hurt. I swear I'll stop bankrolling Hannah, stop seeing her, forever." A few seconds of silence, then a low male voice answered, "Sorry, Aster's asleep, she can't come to the phone." Adrian's tone carried unmistakable ownership. "I'll pass on your message when she wakes, but the license part is unnecessary. Because she's my wife now." His vision blurred, the handset slid from his grip and thudded onto the first-class carpet. A curse exploded from him, drawing stares from every spacious seat. The moment his plane touched down, he raced straight to my house. He looked as if he'd been dragged cross-country by the tailwind, hair wind-whipped, eyes bloodshot, every trace of his usual swagger gone. When my mother opened the door and saw who it was, her smile snapped shut. She turned to the console, scooped up a box of wedding favors, and pressed it into his hand. "Blake, sweetheart, try one of Aster and Adrian's wedding favors. They're deliciously sweet." His gaze slid past her into the foyer. In a small voice he asked, "Uncle Richard, Aunt Evelyn, is Aster home?" My father stood to the side, arms folded, and answered coldly, "You're looking for Aster? She's not here. She's with her husband right now." His face fell. He stared down at the box in his palm. Its lid printed with Aster and Adrian's smiling photo, the image stabbing the breath out of him. His eyes flooded crimson, his voice cracked with raw resentment. "Uncle Richard, how could you let Aster marry someone else? Aster and I grew up together, she was supposed to marry me." Dad let out a short laugh, dripping sarcasm. "Funny, your memory seems to have a convenient hole in it. Have you forgotten standing in the middle of the Hawthorne boardroom, announcing to everyone that Hannah was your girlfriend?" He stepped closer, gaze sharp as a scalpel. "What, you still dreaming of some feudal harem? You want to keep my Aster on one arm and that Hannah on the other? Wake up, kid." He raked a hand through his hair. At last he remembered. Hannah had just joined Hawthorne, name-dropping him until colleagues iced her out. In a reckless moment he'd declared her his girlfriend to shield her. Never meaning it, his heart always Aster's alone. He opened his mouth to explain, but Dad cut him off, impatient. "Enough with the excuses. Aster is married. Adrian is top of the line, brains, looks, family company leading the sector, 10 times the man you are." Dad paused, voice softening a notch. "You're not getting any younger. Time you settled down yourself, marry that whatever her name is and live a quiet life. Quit the games." Each word slammed into Blake like a sledgehammer. He stood hollow-eyed, face drained of color, too battered to protest. Finally, deflated, he stumbled away, step after heavy step, out of our house. Outside, he had someone run a quick search. Then sped toward Azure, the gated community Adrian and I had chosen for our new home. He braked at the entrance, only to be blocked by the estate manager. "Sir, do you have an appointment? Owners only, and less invited." A discreet flash of cash changed hands, and the manager relented. The couple's away, off on their honeymoon abroad. At that exact moment, Adrian and I were basking in foreign sunlight, island hopping our way across the map. 2 whole months passed before we finally flew home. The first time I saw Blake again was outside my parents' front door. He stood beneath the street lamp, sockets sunken, cheeks hollowed, half his weight gone. When he spotted me, his eyes blazed alive, he lurched forward. "Aster. I was wrong." He reached for my hand. I stepped back, out of reach. He withdrew, voice breaking with regret and pleading, "I've done nothing but think. I hurt you without realizing it. Give me one more chance. I've cut Hannah off completely, fired her, blocked her, she'll never come between us again." A sob rattled in his throat, like a child who's lost his way. "Forgive me, please, just like when we were kids." I studied him and felt nothing. Only calm distance. "Blake, whether you cut Hannah off or not is your business, not mine. I enunciated every word. I'm married. Respect that, and don't ever bother me again." When he saw the disgust and finality in my eyes, he finally understood, his Aster no longer had room for him. With a self-mocking smile he turned and walked slowly into the dark. Hannah flew back the day after Blake returned. But the Blake who met her at the gate might as well have been a stranger, no soft smiles, no gentle questions, only acid remarks and a pink slip waiting on her desk. Security marched her out of the Hawthorne building, her pass revoked, her number blocklisted. Days slid into weeks without a single sighting of him, and panic gnawed her hollow, until the clinic stick turned pink. She showed up at the Hawthorne estate with the faintest swell under her sweater, announcing in a trembling voice that Blake was going to be a father and therefore had to answer for it. Catherine's fury cracked the air like a whip. The matriarch loathed the girl who had splintered her son's engagement and refused to acknowledge the baby as anything but a bargaining chip. She ordered Blake to clean up the mess and barred the gate to any further scenes. He pulled out $1 million payoff check, frost in his eyes. Terminate the pregnancy, take this, vanish from Riverdale, forever. For 2 straight months the past looped through his head like security footage on repeat. He finally subpoenaed the Hawthorne archives, every camera angle that had ever captured Aster and Hannah in the same frame. Frame after frame exposed Hannah's choreography, spilled latte here, accidental trip there, tears perfectly timed. The realization hit like ice water. The waif he'd defended was a puppeteer, and for her he had torched a decade-long love. Now, when he looked at Hannah, only disgust stared back. She collapsed on the marble steps, sobbing the way she always had when she needed him to fold. He snapped his fingers for the gate guard. Escort her out. Panic doubled, she speed-dialed the only allies she had left. Her gambling addict father and parasite brother arrived before the Bentley's engine cooled, hollering at the iron gates. $1 million to bury a Hawthorne heir? Dream smaller. Dale spat, palms slapping the wrought iron. My daughter carries your only grandchild, $50 million or we scream rape and let a jury decide. Leo chimed in, louder, phone already recording. Barefoot trumps billionaire, bro cameras love a good scandal, and your last name guarantees prime time. Hannah hovered behind them, dabbing her eyes, letting the men fight for the check she still hoped to cash. His laugh was a blade. Hannah, I gave you too much credit. He swept his gaze over the trio. Go on, leak every frame. Let the world watch you stalk me, pour coffee on yourself, crawl into my car knowing I was engaged. He thumped the gate with 2 fingers. WhatsApp history's intact, timestamps, emojis, nude you volunteered. Sue me, just remember countersuits bankrupt whiners. Then he dialed 911, cool as contract ink, extortion in progress. The patrol cars scattered the Riley clan like seagulls from a gunshot. Inside the precinct Hannah pivoted, new act, same stage. She clutched his sleeve, mascara streaking. They're scared, not greedy. Forgive them, forgive me, for the baby's sake. He pried her fingers off one by one, the chill in his voice frosting the air. Too late for curtain calls. Not only did he press charges against Dale and Leo, he produced a spreadsheet of every Venmo, Apple Pay, and Amex tap he had ever burned on her, brunches, rent, Leo's bail, Dale's markers. The county court totaled the tab at $5 million and change. When the gavel fell, Dale and Leo finally understood that Hawthorne gold came with Hawthorne teeth. They packed overnight bags and ghosted their own daughter and sister rather than face the judgment. He offered Hannah a final multiple choice. A. Terminate, and the $5 million debt burns. B. Keep the baby, pay every dime, raise it alone. Without his pity she had no leverage, she chose A. Post-procedure, she clutched the promised recovery money, a fresh $1 million, only to have her father and brother mug her for it outside the clinic. Worse still, after tasting gated lawns, private jets, and the echo of old money, Hannah discovered she could no longer stomach normal life. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate today's story? If you enjoyed, please like and share with friends. We can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments, so subscribe for more. See you next episode.
Let's sleep in separate rooms. Connor stood in the doorway of the master suite, his tone as flat as if he were commenting on the weather. I closed my book and looked at him. 7 years, I knew that face too well. There had been a time when he smiled at me and his eyes curved like crescent moons. Now he looked at me as if I were an outdated piece of furniture in his way. Work's been stressful lately, I'm not sleeping well, didn't want to disturb you. He added that as an explanation. I nodded. Okay. He exhaled, visibly relieved, and walked away. His footsteps were light, not a trace of guilt. I sat on the edge of the bed, moonlight spilled through the window and fell across our wedding photo. The people in that picture were beaming, as if they truly believed they'd be happy forever. I switched off the light and sat alone in the dark. My phone lit up with a bank alert, charge on his supplementary Amex, designer boutique, $28,000. I blacked out the screen. The guest room bed is a size smaller. I fluffed the pillow, lay down, and stared at the ceiling. Through the wall came Connor's voice on a phone call, gentle, laughing. He hadn't used that tone with me in ages. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew it wasn't about work. 7 years ago, when I married him, he was just a salesman at a startup. Back then, his gaze was warm, he stammered when we spoke, and even holding my hand took courage. Lena, life with me will be tough, he had said, dead serious. I'd smiled. I'm not afraid. I meant it, fear never touched me. To fund his company, I quit my CPA job, 20 grand a year, full benefits, year-end bonus, a clear path to promotion. I gave it all up. He promised, once the company's on its feet, I'll provide for you the rest of your life. I believed him. The first 2 years, payroll bounced more than it cleared. Mom wired $500,000 to tide him over, no IOU, no interest. We're family, what's a loan between kin, she'd said. We lived in a 500 square foot rental. I learned to cook, to budget, to stretch every cent. I recorded each expense, down to a single scallion, a packet of salt. That ledger still sits in the nightstand drawer. 7 years, for volumes, every line written by my hand. Eventually the company took off, mansion, luxury cars, life on easy street. Yet the look he gave me grew colder by the day. You stay home all day, don't you get bored? He asked once. I said, someone has to run the household. He said nothing, but I read his face, disgust. He began working late, taking client dinners, slipping home after midnight. I ate alone, watched TV alone, slept alone. 3 years of that, I got used to it. Tonight, he told me to move to the guest room. I rolled over, opened the drawer, and pulled out the old ledger. By phone light I paged through it. March 2018, rent, $2,800. Utilities, $127. Grocery budget, $643. July 2019, mom's transfer, $500 grand, memo, for my son-in-law's bridge loan. December 2023, he bought himself a watch, $180 grand. For me? Not even a happy birthday. I closed the book and opened the bank app, tapping into the supplementary Amex feed. Same line, designer boutique, 28 grand. I tapped again, handbags. I never received a handbag. I shut the phone and closed my eyes. In the dark, my heartbeat thudded, steady, unhurried. 3 months ago, I'd started gathering proof. Wire transfers, chat screenshots, travel logs, everything was filed and waiting. I just needed him to jump into the pit himself. The next morning I made breakfast. Connor sat at the table scrolling through his phone, never glancing up. I slid omelet and coffee toward him, he grunted in acknowledgement. Will you be home for dinner tonight? I asked. Not sure, the company's swamped. His eyes never met mine. I sat across from him, spooning porridge, studying his face. He was smiling at his phone, the kind of smile you can't fake. I hadn't seen him smile like that in years. Who's making you so happy? I asked, deliberately. He snapped the screen off, looked up, eyes flickering with panic. A colleague, work stuff. Aw. I kept eating. He wiped his mouth and headed out. At the door he paused. Oh, and Lena, ease up on household spending. The company's in a tight spot. I nodded. Understood. The door slammed shut. I set my bowl down and picked up the tablet he'd left on the table. He'd changed the passcode recently. He didn't know I already knew it. His girlfriend's birthday. I opened photos, located the hidden album. Pictures of him and a young woman. By the sea, in restaurants, on hotel balconies. She was in her early 20s, radiant, arms hooked through his. I recognized her. Chloe, the office admin. I'd met her at last year's holiday party. Sis, she'd called me sweetly. I even told her she was pretty. I saved every photo to my locked album, shut the tablet, and slid it back. At noon, I met a college roommate for lunch. Sophia had shared my dorm all 4 years. She's now a matrimonial attorney. Her practice is famous for disemboweling cheating husbands. Connor had no idea I had such a friend. He'd never asked about my social circle. In the afternoon, he phoned. Lena, did you log today's grocery budget? Logged. Keep meticulous records, no waste. I built everything under this roof. What exactly do you contribute? My knuckles whitened against the phone. Got it. He hung up. I stood on the balcony I'd landscaped myself, every flower pot chosen and planted by me, watching the river of traffic below. He said he built everything. Then what, in these 7 years, was I? I walked to the study, powered up his laptop, logged onto his online bank, password unknown to him. Line after line of transfers. February 2024, wire to Chloe, 30 grand, memo, living expenses. March 2024, wire to Chloe, 50 grand, memo, handbag. April 2024, hotel charge, 3,800, invoice issued to the company, but booked a double room. May 2024, jeweler, 100 grand. Same day, Chloe posted on Instagram a selfie with a diamond pendant around her neck. I screenshotted one by one, moved the files to my locked album. $500,000. Over 3 years he had funneled her at least $500,000. Exactly what Mom had loaned him back then. I shut the laptop and went to the kitchen to start dinner. I'll wait. Wait until the trap is perfect. One strike, clean and fatal. Jamie, Dorothy was here. She came straight to the kitchen, opened the fridge, inspected the produce, and frowned. Lena, why buy such expensive shrimp? Connor busts his tail out there earning every dime, and all you do is spend. Mom, they were on sale, I said. She gave a contemptuous grunt and said nothing. Connor wasn't home, some emergency at the office, he'd claimed. Dorothy settled onto the living room sofa, her gaze sweeping the house. Lena, why are you and Connor sleeping in separate rooms lately? I hesitated. He says work pressure's killing him, he sleeps badly, didn't want to wake me. Dorothy sighed, eyes laden with meaning. A man fighting out there has it rough. Sometimes, certain client dinners are unavoidable. You need to understand. My heart lurched. She knew. She knew her son was cheating and had chosen to look the other way. Mom, what exactly are you saying? I looked her straight in the eye. Dorothy evaded my stare, lifted her teacup, and sipped. Nothing much. Just that spouses should be tolerant. Men, you know, sometimes make stupid mistakes. As his wife, you ought to be magnanimous. I said nothing, turned, and walked into the kitchen. Magnanimous. She wanted me to be magnanimous. Her son fools around and I'm the one expected to forgive. I stood at the sink, water gushed from the tap, roaring. I stared, thoughts whirling. I drew a deep breath and shut off the faucet. Stay calm. I must stay calm. I made lunch, Dorothy ate contentedly. At the door she squeezed my hand and intoned, Lena, I'm family, so I'll speak plainly. Connor's made money these last few years, got a little full of himself, but his heart is still here. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill, keeping the marriage is what counts. I gazed at her and suddenly found the whole scene absurd. Mom, I hear you. After I saw Dorothy out, I returned to the bedroom. My phone chimed, Connor's text, client dinner tonight, won't be home. I answered, okay. No reply. I opened my photo gallery and scrolled to a password-locked folder, 127 chat screenshots, 23 hotel folios, 17 wire transfer receipts, plus cozy pictures of him with Chloe. I'd triple encrypted the file. Once, Connor asked to check my phone. I handed it over calmly. He skimmed, found nothing, gave it back. He had no idea those photos were right under his nose. He thinks I'm a clueless housewife. He's wrong. I used to be a top CPA at Riverdale. I can read income statements, trace accounts, chase every questionable dollar. Every time he lied, I logged it. That evening I sat alone on the balcony. Night wind was cold, shaking the potted green ivy I'd planted with my own hands. Every corner of this house carries my effort. 7 years. I gave 7 prime years. He claims he built it all. His mother tells me to be big-hearted. Fine. I'll be big-hearted. Big-hearted enough to show you the price of underestimating me. The call came Wednesday afternoon. I was reading in the living room. The phone on the coffee table lit up with an unknown number. Hello, is this Morgan? A cloyingly sweet young woman asked. Speaking. Who's this? Chloe. Mr. Hayes's friend. She stressed the word friend. I tightened my grip but kept my voice level. What do you want? Oh, nothing big. Connor said he's exhausted, asked me to buy him a shirt, but I don't know his size, thought I'd ask you. Her tone was flirtatious, proud, a declaration of war. I chuckled, Emery XL. A pause on her end, my cooperation clearly surprised her. Cameron, Morgan. Oh, Connor says he's working late tonight, don't wait dinner. All right. Got it. I hung up. My palm was slick with sweat, yet my face stayed calm. 20 minutes later Connor walked in. He looked rattled, as if he'd just argued. He tossed his briefcase onto the sofa and glanced at me. Lena, we need to talk. I closed my book. About what? He pulled a document from his bag and laid it on the coffee table. A divorce petition. My heart skipped at those 2 words. I've thought it over, we're not a match, he said flatly, like negotiating a deal. Look it over. I'm offering 10%. You move out, we part friends. 10%. 7 years of marriage, 7 years I'd quit my career, invested my youth, kept the home, worth 10% in his eyes. I flipped through page after page. House, his. Cars, his. Company shares, his. For me, $480,000 cash. Our net assets, roughly $5.8 million. $480,000, exactly 10%. Think about it, Connor said. Sign today and I'll throw in another 50 grand. Refuse, he let the threat hang, and you'll get nothing. I lifted my eyes to him. No guilt, no nostalgia, just impatience. He was already calculating how to sweep me out. I know there's someone else, I said. His face flickered, then calmed. Don't make things up. Chloe and I are only colleagues. I didn't say Chloe. He froze. I stood, closed the petition, and set it back on the table. Connor, you really want the divorce? Yes. Sure about this? Positive. Irritation sharpened his voice. Lena, quit stalling, sign or not. I looked at him and smiled. 7 years. I thought he was temporarily lost, that he still remembered us, that if I endured he'd turn back. Turns out he decided long ago, even drafted the payout, 10%, my 7-year valuation. My illusions shattered on the spot. All right, I said. He blinked. You'll sign? I didn't say that. I picked up the petition. I said fine, then let's negotiate. He scowled. What's left to discuss? I dropped the document into the trash can. Your terms? I reject them. I met his gaze, word by word. You want out, okay. But not at that price. His expression darkened fully. Lena, don't force my hand. Ignoring him, I walked into the guest room. The instant the door shut, I scrolled to Sophia's number. Time to start the counterattack. 3 days later, Connor showed up with that agreement again. Have you thought it through? He slapped the papers onto the dining table. Sign it and we can part on good terms. I was eating breakfast. I didn't even lift my head. No, Lena. His voice rose. What on earth do you want? I set down my chopsticks and looked at him. I want fairness. Fairness? He gave a cold laugh. How much of my money have you spent over the years? You live in my house, drive my car, swipe my card. 10% is already generous. What more do you expect? This home belongs to both of us, I said. Your company took off because my mom lent you $500,000 and because I gave you 7 years of my life. Your so-called contribution is worth what, exactly? He looked at me with disdain. Cooking a few meals, cleaning the house, call that contribution? I stared back, enunciating every word. I quit my job to back your startup, that's contribution. My mom handed over her retirement savings to keep you afloat, that's contribution. Every single second I've spent running this household for 7 years, all of it is contribution. He faltered for a second, then slipped back into his arrogant mask. Fine, whatever you say. So how much do you want? 20%? 30? 80? He burst out laughing as though I'd told the best joke in the world. You're insane. 80? On what grounds? On the grounds that you cheated. The laughter died instantly. He stared at me, eyes darting. I did not cheat. Chloe, I said, the name steady. Your executive assistant. 3 years and counting. His face changed, but he kept up the bluff. Don't throw mud. She and I are just colleagues. Really? I stood. You wire 50 grand to just a colleague? You take just a colleague on a beach vacation? You buy just a colleague a $100,000 necklace? Every last trace of color left his face. How? How do you know? You don't need to know how. I held his gaze. You only need to know I have the proof. His mouth opened, but no words came. Connor, if you want a divorce, fine. I stepped close. But I set the terms. His eyes turned dark. Lena, are you threatening me? Not a threat, a negotiation. I picked up his divorce petition, tore it in half, and dropped the pieces in the trash. You have 3 days. After that, we talk again. I walked into the bedroom and left him standing in the living room. I knew this was only the beginning. That evening I went home to my parents. Dad was watching TV in the living room. He blinked when he saw me. Lena? Why the sudden visit? Mom poked her head out of the kitchen. Did you and little Hayes have a fight? I shook my head. No fight. I just wanted to see you both. After dinner I helped Mom clear the dishes. Dad sat on the sofa and suddenly said, Lena, something's weighing on you, isn't it? My hands paused over the sink. Dad, you've been like this since you were small, carry everything alone. Dad's gaze was gentle. But remember, whatever happens, Mom will always have your back. My nose stung and my eyes turned hot. Dad, Connor and I, we're probably getting divorced. Mom almost dropped a bowl. What? I laid out everything that had happened these past months: Connor's coldness, Dorothy's partiality, the agreement that offered me only 10%. I didn't mention the cheating. I'd tell them when the dust settled. Mom wiped away angry tears. That Connor, we married you to him and lent him $500,000, and this is how he treats you? Dad said nothing for a long time. Finally he stood, came over, and patted my shoulder. Lena, I'll only ask you once. He looked straight into my eyes. Are you sure? I nodded. I'm sure. Then do it. Dad's voice was firm. Whatever the outcome, Mom stands with you. I drew a deep breath and felt the weight of the last few days lift. Dad, Mom, Cameron. That night I lay in the bed I'd slept in since childhood, staring at the familiar ceiling. My phone buzzed, Sophia calling. Lena, I locked in the slot you wanted. Day after tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office, bring everything. Got it. So, she hesitated. How ready are you? I thought about it. All sorted. Wire transfer receipts, chat screenshots, hotel folios, photos, everything printed and tabbed. Perfect. Her tone carried professional chill. Trust me, I'll leave him with the shirt on his back, if that. I laughed softly. Riley, cut the thanks, she said. 7 years of sisterhood doesn't need words. After we hung up, I rolled over and looked at the moon outside the window. Dad was right, I deserve better. Starting tomorrow, I live for myself. 3 days later we met in a cafe. Connor chose the place, saying he wanted a private talk. I didn't show. I told him to come to the law office instead. When he pushed open the door and saw Sophia beside me, he froze. And you are? My attorney, I said. Sophia, 12 years specializing in matrimonial litigation. Sophia rose and handed him a card. Alex, nice to meet you. Connor's face twitched, but he took the card and sat opposite me. Lena, really? He complained. Dragging a lawyer into a divorce, think of the gossip. And offering me 10% wasn't gossip-worthy? I countered. He had no comeback. Sophia opened a folder and slid it toward him. Alex, here is Jordan's itemized schedule of marital assets, real estate, vehicles, deposits, company shares, roughly $5.8 million. Connor skimmed it and shrugged. So, under the civil code, Sophia continued, community property is split equally. Jordan is entitled to at least $2.9 million. 2.9? Connor sneered. On what justification? On 7 years of contribution. Sophia flipped a page. Alex, do you have any idea what Jordan brought to this marriage? He stayed silent. 2017, she resigned from Riverdale CPA to bankroll your startup. Salary at the time, $200,000 a year. 7 years of lost earnings, $1.4 million in opportunity cost. 2018, her parents lent you $500,000 in bridge financing. Still unpaid. For 7 years she supplied full domestic labor, logistics, support, conservatively $5,000 a month. That's another $420,000. Sophia read line after line while Connor's face cycled through shades of anger and fear. Every figure Jordan logged herself. She pushed the stack of old expense ledgers across the table. 7 years, for volumes, every entry dated and sourced. Connor stared at the ledgers, jaw locked. He'd never noticed the habit, he'd never noticed the details of my life. So, Alex, Sophia closed the folder, the 10% proposal is rejected. A long silence. How much, then? He asked at last, voice low, bitter. I looked straight at him. I already told you 80%. Impossible. He slammed the table. Lena, don't push me. Push you? I smiled thinly. Connor, do you even know what pushing means? I unlocked my phone, tapped a video, and slid the screen toward him. In the video, he and Chloe were walking hand in hand along the beach, smiling sweetly. His face went completely white. Where did you get that? You don't need to know. I slipped the phone back into my purse. That's just the trailer. The full feature drops in 3 days. I stood up and grabbed my bag. Connor, when you're ready, call my lawyer. I walked out of the Lane office without looking back. His furious roar echoed behind me, but I didn't slow down. 7 years. I wasn't afraid of him anymore. Connor stayed quiet for 3 days. On the 4th, he called, his tone much softer. Lena, let's talk. I said nothing. 80% is too much, he said. I can go to 40, that's my final offer. Not enough. 50? Even split, fair, right? Not enough. I paused. Connor, you still haven't seen the main feature. Silence on the line. What exactly do you want? A tremor crept into his voice. Monday morning, 10 sharp, at my lawyer's office, I said. Bring your mother. Why, Mom? You'll find out. I hung up. Taylor, I reached the Lane office 10 minutes early. Sophia had the materials ready, a thick stack, perfectly aligned on the conference table. Ready? She asked. I nodded. Ready. At 10 on the dot, Connor pushed through the door. Dorothy followed. The moment Dorothy saw me, her face darkened. Lena, why am I here? Mom, I said, standing to pour her a cup of tea, have a seat. There are things I want to say face to face. Dorothy sat, wary. Connor parked himself beside her, jaw clenched. Sophia cleared her throat. Morgan, Alex, thank you for coming. We're here to discuss Lena's divorce petition. I already know about the divorce, Dorothy cut in. My son is offering 10%, more than generous. Mom, Connor muttered, let them finish. Sophia continued. First, the assets. She slid the property schedule toward Dorothy. Houses, bank accounts, cars, company shares, line after line, crystal clear. 5.8 million, that's the family's net worth, Sophia said. How much Lena contributed these 7 years is all in this ledger. She opened the expense ledger, finger on the figures. In 2018, when Alex started his company, Jordan's parents lent you $500,000. From 2019 to 2024, Jordan handled all household labor, valued at $420,000. The opportunity cost of her quitting her job, $1.4 million. Dorothy's complexion began to blanch. Add them up, it exceeds $2.3 million, Sophia said. Alex claims Jordan did nothing. Would you call that nothing? Connor kept his head down, silent. Dorothy opened her mouth. I met her gaze. Mom, you told me to be magnanimous. I can be, but first, you need to know a few things. I walked to the projector and opened my laptop. A wire transfer receipt flashed on screen. February 2024, Connor wires $30,000 to Chloe. Memo, living expenses. Dorothy froze. Click, next image. March 2024, $50,000. Memo, handbag. April 2024, $3,800 at a hotel, invoice to the company, actually a double room. May 2024, $100,000 jewelry purchase. Same day, Chloe posts a diamond pendant on Instagram. Frame after frame, Dorothy's face drained of color. 3 years, I said. He blew at least $500,000 on her. The $50,000 you loaned us? Never repaid. But for his mistress, money flows like water. Connor! Dorothy spun toward him. Explain this. His cheeks flamed. Mom, she faked those, don't believe. Forged? I opened the next folder. Then what about these? Chat screenshots filled the screen. Connor, I miss you. Be good, baby, I'll pick you up tonight. When will you divorce her? I can't wait to be with you. Soon. She's so gullible, easy to get rid of. I read the last line aloud, voice steady. The conference room was deathly quiet. Dorothy stared, shock crystallizing into fury. Connor! She slammed the table. Have you no shame? Connor sat pale, speechless. I killed the projector and returned to my seat. Mom, I said quietly, I can be generous. But 80%, non-negotiable. Dorothy left without a glance at Connor. Mom. He chased her into the hallway. Mom, let me explain, she jerked free. Explain what? You said she fabricated the evidence, are the chats fake? The photos? She's so gullible, did you not say that? Connor gaped, wordless. I told Lena to forgive, thinking you'd merely. Dorothy inhaled sharply. I didn't know you were this vile. 3 years you lied to me, Mom, don't mom me. She jabbed a finger at him. Her parents lent you 50 grand without a murmur. Lena served you in this household for years, and this is how you repay her? Crimson flooded Connor's face, sweat beaded on his temples. Dorothy turned to me. Lena, I was blind. 80%, you've earned it. I said nothing, I simply nodded. She left. Connor lingered in the doorway, all strength sapped. This isn't over. I stepped in front of him. Connor, what you saw was the appetizer. Keep bargaining and I'll serve the main course. He looked up, fear flickering. What else do you have? Really want to know? I opened my photo gallery. 127 chat logs, 23 hotel folios, 17 wire transfer receipts, and I swiped to the last shots and raised the phone. Images of him and Chloe entwined on a hotel balcony, city lights behind them. Connor went ashen. Where did you thought I was clueless? I pocketed the phone. From the first night you came home late, the first lie, the first transfer, I started collecting proof. 3 months, I said. I spent 3 months cataloging every shred of evidence. Did you really think I was a gullible fool? His legs trembled. If this reaches court, you know the outcome, I continued. An adulterer gets crucified and property splits. What judge would award me, you can guess. I let the silence hang. 80%, I enunciated. My bottom line. Refuse, and we'll see each other before a judge. I stepped past him and pushed open the door. The corridor was quiet, sunlight pouring through the glass, almost blinding. I drew a long breath and felt pounds lighter. 7 years of grievance, 7 years of endurance, finally vindicated. Connor struggled for 3 days. He called me more than a dozen times. I didn't pick up once. He texted, Lena, let's talk this through, and I left him on read. He even camped outside Mom's place until Dad slammed the door in his face. On the 4th day he folded. He sent Dorothy as intermediary. Dorothy rang me, Lena, how? Connor says he's ready to talk. Could you give him one more chance? Mom, I said, I'll meet him. Not to give chances, but to set terms. Dorothy hesitated, then, all right. We met at Lane, Partners. Connor walked in staring at the carpet like a frostbitten eggplant. Lena, he blurted the instant he sat, 80%, I agree. But can we keep it uncontested? No public trial? I watched him, silent. If this goes to court, his voice kept shrinking, it'll all come out, my business will tank, You should have thought of that sooner, I cut in. He shut up. Sophia slid a fresh divorce petition across the mahogany table. Alex, the revised terms, all real estate to Lena, vehicles to Lena, cash split 80-20, Jordan gets 80, you 20. Company shares, 30% to Jordan. Connor stared, hands trembling. Sign, I said. Sign, and we're done. He lifted the Mont Blanc, ink hovering above the line, unable to land. Connor, I asked, remember your own words? He lifted his head. You said, 10% is already generous. I spoke each syllable like a hammer. Now, what percentage is it? His face flushed crimson, fingers clenched the pen. You sneered, what did you ever do? I kept going. 7 years, erased with one sentence. Every figure on this page, that's my resume. His eyes watered. I felt nothing. Sign, I repeated. I want this finished too. He inhaled sharply, then scrawled his name. The instant the pen left the paper he collapsed, a puppet with its strings cut. I rose and moved to the window. Sunlight streamed in, warm on my face. Oh, I said without turning, Chloe's waiting. You should go to her. His body stiffened. She called, he muttered. Asked about the divorce. I told her you were taking 80%. And? Then, the words scraped his throat, she said she had things to do and I shouldn't call again. I smiled. Of course. Chloe liked the rich Connor, not the bankrupt one. Connor, I turned, looking down at him, you lost. The moment you decided to betray me, you'd already lost. I picked up the petition and walked out. In the corridor, Sophia waited. Signed? She asked. Signed. She grinned, offering her hand. Congrats, Lena. I clasped it. Cameron, Riley. Shoulder to shoulder we exited. The sycamores along the avenue glowed fresh green. I breathed deep, even the air tasted new. 1 month later the court stamped the judgment. Because it was uncontested, the process sped through. Division followed the contract exactly. House, mine, bank balance 80% mine, cars, mine, Connor's company, 30% of equity bought out. Final tally, about $4.64 million. His side, 20% of cash plus remaining stock, nothing else. The decree arrived on a cloudless morning. I sat in the living room, staring at the sheet a long while. My phone rang. Dorothy. Lena, judgment came through? It did. Good. She paused. Lena, Connor wronged you. From here on, life will only get better. Sam. I hung up and texted Sophia, rulings in, dinner's on me. She replied instantly, deal. You're paying. That night we splurged on Toro and A5 Wagyu at the sushi bar. Sophia toasted with expensive sake. Lena, the way you held your nerve, most people would have cracked. You quietly collected evidence for 3 straight months. I shrugged. Had to play the long game. So what now? She asked. I considered. First, a breather. Haven't worked in 7 years, need to reboot. Your accounting chops are still there, she said. Want back into a firm? I can make calls. Riley, forget it. She lifted her glass. 7 years of sisterhood, no tolls. Cheers. Crystal met crystal with a bright chime. I sipped, heat slid down my throat. On the walk home a strange number pinged. You ruined my life. Chloe. I smiled, deleted it. Ruined your life? You two wrecked it yourselves. I merely withdrew what was mine. That night I slept like stone, no dreams at all. I moved out of the marital house. Court awarded it to me, but I couldn't stay. Every corner whispered Connor's name. I listed it for rent, combined that income with my payout, and leased a bright new flat east of downtown. 2 bedrooms, small, but bathed in light. I lined the balcony with pots of pothos and ivy, just like the old place. On moving day, Mom came to help. She looked around, eyes wet. "Lena, what will you do now?" "Mom," I squeezed her hand, "I'll be fine." Dad carried the last box, straightened, and gazed at the skyline. "Nice view." "Lena, live well here, understood?" "Understood." After they left, I sat alone. Beyond the glass the city glittered, thousands of living room windows blinking. 7 years ago, newlywed, I'd stood at another window while Connor promised, "Lena, I'll take care of you forever." I believed him. Later he shuffled me into the guest room, preached tolerance, offered 10% like charity. Thinking back, it's laughable. My phone rang again, unfamiliar number. "May I speak with Lena?" A brisk female voice. "Speaking, Riverdale HR. We reviewed your application. Can you interview next Taylor at 10? I'll text the address." I blinked, then laughed. "Absolutely, great. Cameron." After she hung, I texted Sophia, "Got an interview." She fired back, "Yes. Go crush it." Knew you still had it. I typed, "Riley for everything," then added a heart emoji. She replied with a bear hug gif. I set the phone down and stepped onto the balcony. Night breeze stirred the leaves. I remembered the first night of separation, crouched alone in darkness, convinced life was over. Now I see, it wasn't the end, it was the prologue. 7 years with Connor taught me one truth: lean on a mountain and it collapses, lean on a person and they run. From this day forward, I rely on one person only, me. Outside, the night is perfect. Tomorrow will be better. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you enjoyed it, like and share with friends. We'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.
The year the college entrance season ended, Shane told me he wanted a breakup. I swallowed the dense, stinging ache in my chest, yet it felt as if a boulder had finally rolled off my heart. We had dated for 3 years, and he had always said, "She's just my little sister. If there was ever anything between us, do you think you would even be here?" He had used that sentence to bludgeon me into silence for 3 straight years. Then, on the last day of the college entrance season, I saw them under the sycamore tree, locked in a tight embrace, fingers interlaced. His face was cold as he repeated the same old line, but when I showed no reaction, he finally, awkwardly, said the word breakup. In that instant, I felt something inside me exhale. I wouldn't beg him to come back, again and again, tears streaking my face. I wouldn't force myself to ignore all the clues I'd pretended not to see. I simply gave a tiny nod, then opened my college list and changed every line. I tried to scrub him out of my life the way you scrub chalk from a blackboard. Days crept past, and the lacrosse teammates who used to sneer at me with him grew frantic. "Skylar, you're a grown-up. Stop throwing a tantrum. Go apologize." Shane was just blowing off steam, same as always. Drop the attitude, sweet-talk him a little, and everything goes back to normal. If you keep sulking, his childhood is going to slide straight into your spot. I pressed a hand to the place where my heart no longer pounded for him and smiled. "They're perfect together, don't you think? We broke up a long time ago." The sky was flawless, not a cloud in sight, but I couldn't feel the warmth. The closer the college list deadline loomed, the crueler Shane became, the less he bothered to hide. His forgotten phone vibrated on the table with a buzz. I picked it up and, from memory, keyed in his childhood's birthday. The lock screen opened. Exactly as I expected, the wallpaper was a photo of the two of them. He'd probably never imagined I'd touch his phone, so he'd left everything in plain sight. Message after message popped up. "Jordan, you're seriously going to the same college as that Skylar? Isn't she the homewrecker trying to ruin you and Bianca?" The word homewrecker made my finger freeze on the screen. I kept reading. There were dozens in the chat, some I knew, some I didn't. Replies flew upward in a blur. "At Shane, Jordan, don't tell me you didn't know Bianca's about to confess. If you're not dumping the homewrecker, are you planning to break Bianca's heart?" The speaker was one of Shane's friends, someone who had watched him ask me out in the first place. The chat's temperature spiked. Bianca's so sweet. We can't let Skylar walk all over her. You can't two-time her, Jordan. Skylar's gorgeous. Once you ditch her, mind if I shoot my shot? They had grown up with Bianca, and they'd never stopped rooting for the two of them. Shane's phone was in my hand. He should have been unable to answer. Yet moments later Bianca was yanked into the group, and Shane used her account to fire off a voice note. I left my phone outside. Bianca and I are on our way to grab it. If you need anything, just text Bianca. The scrolling letters slashed at me like blades, drawing blood that wouldn't stop. I stood there blankly, clutching his phone under the blazing sun, yet shivering as if locked in ice. I forced myself to stand. My fingers trembled as I darkened the screen and set the phone back exactly where I'd found it. I dragged myself step by step to a thick-trunked tree that hid me from view. In the distance I watched the familiar pair walk toward me hand in hand, and I couldn't name the feeling. It hurt, but it also felt like release. Reality was right in front of me, leaving no room for more self-delusion. They reached the phone just as a breeze stirred. Sycamore leaves drifted down around them. The scene was beautiful enough for a postcard. I stared as they clasped fingers, folded into an embrace, and kissed. I stepped out from under the tree in a daze. Once seeing this, I would have shattered, then forgiven him anyway. But now, I only felt nauseated. I couldn't wait to cut every last thread between us. When Shane saw me, his face blackened. Didn't I tell you to stop following me around? You're exhausting. Bianca's just my sister. What paranoid fantasy are you chasing this time? Sure, we held hands, so what? Sisters hold hands. The hug was a polite squeeze, and the kiss? Ever heard of an air kiss? I stared at him without expression, no longer willing to build him the usual escape ramp. When I stayed silent, Shane turned angry. Are you done yet? I've explained everything. What else do you want? If you keep this up, I swear I'll break up with you for real. At those words I finally knew what I needed. I heard my own voice answer. Fine. I agree. 3 years of swallowed grievances surged up at once. I nailed the emotion in place so it wouldn't leak out. You've got guts, Skylar. He looked furious. He whipped out his phone and, just like every other time, posted a single status on Instagram, newly single. Let's see if you come crawling back on your knees again. My breath froze. So I had once been that pathetic. The truth was a bleeding, mocking wound beside me. Beside him, Bianca let out a giggle. Her brows arched. Yes, Skylar. Don't storm off in a huff just to beg later. Everyone knows you can't breathe without Jordan. I shifted my gaze to Bianca, safely tucked behind Shane. Don't get the wrong idea. We're just retracing the paths we walked as kids. Look, here are the old photos. She flicked open his phone, scrolled through the gallery, and held it toward me. Jordan kept them just like I did. Her cutesy tone, acting as if I weren't even there, painted me as the intruder. I lowered my head and looked. Photo after photo of their shared past and present. The first 2 were collages. One of them is children walking hand in hand, the other of them now, still holding that same grip. Their clasp had been tight then, and it was tight now. Bianca leaned closer, voice gentle. Childhood never beats the newcomer, right? But luck turns. Who ends up with the bouquet is still up for grabs. The last sentence was whisper light, yet it crashed through me like thunder. Shane stood there, irritation carved across his face. See, if we were really together, there would never have been space for you. It's all in your head. Quit wasting energy on pointless jealousy. I didn't answer. I simply handed the phone back. There was no misunderstanding. I was nothing but a scripted cameo in their love story. The side character, the hero, has to survive before he can admit his feelings for the heroine. And now that side character was leaving the stage. After I boxed up every remnant of us, I opened my laptop to make sure I could never turn back. Without hesitation, in the final minute before the deadline, I moved every choice to the famous university in Eastbrook I'd always dreamed of. This is the college I've dreamed of since I was little, the one that used to light up every daydream I had. My grades have always been strong, definitely better than Shane's, seeing as he never bothered to crack a book. But from the moment we got together, we promised we'd pick one university and both enroll. So even though I hate the school he chose and the humid summers of that city make my skin crawl, the thought of leaving him never once crossed my mind. Everyone who knew us simply assumed I'd trail along wherever he went. Who gave them the right to be so sure? Now I'm finally spreading wings that are actually mine. My future no longer has him in it. It took me a whole day to dig out every last reminder of us. Movie stubs, hoodie strings, even the handful of photos we ever took together. I stuffed the lot into a trash bag and hauled it to the curb. After he delivered that little "we're done" speech, the line went radio silent for days. They're probably curled up somewhere disgustingly happy, posting couple selfies I'll never see. Or maybe they're waiting for me to crawl back like I used to, begging on my knees. Every other time he threw one of his one-man breakup tantrums, he'd freeze me out until I couldn't breathe, then watch me grovel my way back. Not this round. Not ever again. Once the chores were finished, I opened iMessage. College had dropped the party address. It might be the last time I share air with these classmates. So I RSVP'd yes. At the venue, he's holding court with his usual pack, Bianca perched in the middle like a crowned princess. Shane is painstakingly peeling shrimp for her, one curved shell at a time. They look like the final scene of a rom-com, sunset guaranteed. Whenever Bianca tilts her chin at a dish, he spoons it onto her plate with a tender smile I never saw in 3 years. He always claimed it wounded his masculinity to wait on a girl. So I was the one who deveined shrimp and refilled his water and pretended it felt romantic. Turns out he's perfectly capable. He just couldn't be bothered for me. I take a slow breath until the tremor stops. I remind myself, whatever he does now is none of my business. Let him play the devoted boyfriend for the audience. But the only path to the dining room cuts straight past their table. I'm 2 steps in when his friends block the way. They eye me up, smirking like cats with a cornered mouse. Thought Miss Quinn finally grew a spine. Looks more like a lapdog trailing Jordan's scent to me. Told you she'd crack. She already signed the breakup papers. Let's see her worm her way back now. My eyebrows knot. I can't believe I used to swallow this poison. Move. I'm going inside. They're smug because the old me did crawl and beg and say thank you for the insults. This time I choose a different exit line. Still playing hard to get, Skylar? I shove past before he finishes, shoulders squared. The whole room senses the shift, heads swivel toward Shane, who's staring at his plate. If you walk away, stay gone. His voice is ice. I flick a hand in farewell and never look back. Shane tracks Skylar's silhouette until it dissolves into the swarm of bodies. He glances at Bianca beside him, all soft watercolor smiles, and something inside him slips. Skylar came here for him, he's sure, so why is she pretending otherwise? Irritation sparks in his chest. Time to let her stew. These tantrums are getting old. He spelled everything out perfectly logically. Yet she keeps hammering at the same tiny crack. Can't she show a little understanding? He and Bianca share a childhood history. A girlfriend can't erase that. He picks up his phone, thumbs hovering, composes 3 different texts, deletes every one. Finally, he slams the screen down on the table and returns to the shrimp, face clouded. I'm barely 10 yards away when a new message lights the screen. Unknown number, same old arrogance. Getting cocky, huh? Not crawling back tonight? Wait till you're stuck in Westmont with no one to hold your hand. Unblock me now and I might let this slide. Shane keeps spewing ultimatums as if they're favors. I don't answer. I don't even archive. I block the new digits, flip the phone to do not disturb, and watch his scowl darken as he starts picking bones out of Bianca's fish while the room roars around them. After the 3rd toast, someone suggests a party game. Truth or Dare wins by landslide applause. I fold myself into the farthest sofa corner, opting out. Bianca draws the Dare card. Pop a party balloon pressed between her and a partner. Under the collective leer, Shane steps forward. Cheers crescendo. Bianca's eyes shimmer. She cradles the balloon like it's fragile glass. Shane cages her within the arc of his arms. No actual touch, yet their gaze practically tangles hair. They squeeze in unison until the balloon pancakes between them. Inches collapse to millimeters, restraint melting. Finally, either patience snaps or plan unfolds. He drops the wall of his arm and yanks her flush. 0 distance. The balloon explodes. Half the room starts chanting, "Date! Date! Date!" I think Shane glances my way. Before I decode it, he bends in. They kiss like the clock stopped, long and deep, only breaking apart when oxygen demands it. Those stretched minutes stab a pain through my ribs I thought I'd outgrown. I wait for tears, none come. My eyes stay dry as bone. See that, Skylar? That's who he is. Loves the harem attention, won't chase, won't refuse, sure as hell won't commit. Look once more and be done. The speaker covers my eyes with one warm palm. It's Hayden from the class next door, the low-profile legend whose family name and SAT score both break records. I used to think loving him was tragically dumb. Turns out you can keep it up for 3 whole years. He sighs, voice shy, ears flaming scarlet. Good news. Turning back now still counts. Drop the weed, notice the oak tree. My throat feels shredded, the syllables scrape. I'm sorry, right now I. His face flickers with hurt, but he recovers fast, waving it off. No pressure. Liking you is my own project. I never expected a return ticket. I can take the scenic route. Courtship is supposed to take time. He never gets to the next line. Shane pushed through the crowd and walked straight toward us. Only then did I realize that at some point the distant commotion had died away. His eyes flashed with anger as he looked at us, then at Hayden's hand resting on my shoulder. He took one step forward. Hayden slid in front of me, calm as glass. What's the problem? Two happy couples should be a win-win, shouldn't it? You just found yourself a new girlfriend, and you two were kissing like the world was ending 5 minutes ago. Now you're mad someone else moved on. You can't have your cake, eat it, and still demand the bakery stay closed. Shane's face darkened another shade, but Hayden kept going like he hadn't noticed. Haven't even congratulated you yet. 3 years of undercover dating with Bianca, finally out in the open. Don't bother denying it. Half the school has seen you two strolling the quad hand in hand after dark. Now I'm going to pursue my own girlfriend. Bystanders should exit stage left. Shane let out a laugh that sounded more like a snarl. Your girlfriend. Hayden talked right over him. My future girlfriend. Just like you've had eyes for Bianca for 3 years, I've been watching Skylar for 3 years. Maybe it was my imagination, but Shane's face seemed to crumble a little more at that. Hayden's mouth never slowed. Little Shane, pick a lane. You can't pull a some people and keep one hand in the chip bag while reaching for the cookies. The jab lit the last fuse. Before round 2 could erupt, the other leading lady arrived. Bianca appeared at the perfect moment, slipping her arms around him from behind. Why'd you wander off? You left me stranded, so boring over there. She ignored our side of the patio completely, focusing every ounce of sweetness on Shane. Her entrance twisted the air. Everyone who actually knew the timeline traded uneasy glances. Shane scanned the crowd, swallowed the rest of his rage, and plastered on a gentle smile as he hugged her back. Hungry? Head over to the tables. I'll be right there. In 3 years of being his real girlfriend, I'd never seen that expression. He'd always looked at me like I was an interruption he couldn't be bothered to finish. Hayden rested his chin lightly on the top of my head, voice a soft rumble against my ear. Cheaters and their willing side pieces deserve each other. Who knows how long those two have been sneaking around behind your back. Same goes for her. Homewrecking doesn't even make her blush. If she'll do that, what won't she do? The day Shane tries to crawl out of that mess will be the start of a beautiful dogfight. We'll bring popcorn and front row seats. His oracle-style roast lifted some of the weight off my chest. It really was time to walk away for good. Seeing the shift in me, Hayden squeezed my hand. Let's bail. Too loud in here, we need fresh air. We were almost at the exit when Bianca called after him. Hayden. She said his name, but her stare drilled into me. I know you haven't dated much, but some people are better left untouched. Your family's loaded, sure, still keep your eyes open. Anyone who homewrecks a relationship isn't exactly girlfriend material. I let go of Hayden's hand and pressed my lips together. I'd heard every version of that sentence since the day Shane first asked me out. Everyone swore I'd stolen him from Bianca. Hayden's temper flared so suddenly it startled me. Homewrecker? Takes nerve to slap that label on someone else. When Skylar and Shane got together, they were official, out in the open. You two were the ones sneaking around behind her back, and now you flipped the script. If you've always been the epic love story, why did he run to Skylar and pour his heart out? What? The two of you need an extra player to keep things spicy. Healthy relationships are great, but the twisted ones are just so much more entertaining, right? Both of them flushed, words stuck halfway down their throats. The whole thing would have been hilarious if it weren't so pathetic. I glanced at the star-scattered sky beyond the door and drew a long breath. We're done, Shane. Don't ever come near me again. I tugged Hayden's hand and walked out without looking back. Skylar. Shane shouted something after us, but I was already too far down the path to catch the words. It's late. You should head home, I said, wiping my cheeks. You're still hurting. My hug's on loan, no interest, he offered. I studied him. This boy now a full head taller than me, worry shining in those clear eyes. I exhaled and stepped in, wrapping my arms around him tight. Go home, so you will give me a real shot. You won't wake up tomorrow and pretend this never happened, right? He watched me, anticipation glowing on his face. I blinked. When did I ever? You already agreed. He sounded absolutely sure of this alternate reality. I needed my temples. It's late. Go. Maybe he sensed how drained I was. He didn't push further. We traded numbers before he left. He even commandeered my phone, changed his contact to AAA almost boyfriend, pinned the chat, and finally tore himself away. I stayed on the curb, watching until he disappeared into the swarm of bodies. Neon lights painted him in watercolor streaks. A weepy breakup anthem drifted from the karaoke bar behind me. The party noise never stopped. Bruised and exhausted, I stared at the clean line of his back vanishing into the crowd. Too clean for me to call him back. When I got home, a single message from Hayden waited. Good night. I sent the same back. No dreams visited me. The The next morning I headed downstairs to take out the trash and found Shane waiting under the sycamore in front of my house, just like 3 years ago. Maybe because it was high summer, his presence didn't send the old chill through me. Sunlight bounced off the pavement, dazzling enough to blur time for a second. Almost like we were still together. The illusion lasted half a heartbeat. I snapped awake. Last night he'd claimed Bianca in front of everyone. If I wavered now, I'd officially be the other woman. I walked past without looking at him, dumped the trash, then hit the diner 2 blocks away for breakfast. When I came back, he hadn't moved. Tears glinted in the corners of his eyes, bright as broken glass. He stood frozen, tracking me with that gaze. The instant I tried to step around him, his fingers locked around my arm. "Can we just talk? Please?" I tried to shake free and keep walking. His grip only tightened. "We're over. What else is there to say?" His eyes squeezed shut in pain. "Even a breakup deserves closure, don't you think?" I thought it over, and in the end I agreed with him. We went to the corner a few blocks away. When things were still good between us, we used to come here all the time. We'd share the same latte, stroll along the curb together. Memories like that are unbearable. Back then, everything looked perfect. Lost in the past, I didn't notice the familiar silhouette half hidden by a giant planter at the next table. About last night, I think I owe you an explanation. Bianca and I just got carried away by the moment. There's really nothing between us. You saw how it was. If I hadn't played along, people would have gossiped about her. I only did it so she wouldn't lose face. He spouted lines even he didn't believe while sneaking glances at my face. Afterward, I made it clear to her we'd keep our distance, see each other as little as possible. Can't you be the bigger person? Bored, I stared at the leaves on the planter beside me. When I heard that, I wanted to shoot back. "So today you kiss her to spare her embarrassment. Tomorrow, if she bats her eyes, you sleep with her?" He loves having 2 girls dote on him, then claims the moral high ground. Nothing in the world works that way. The retort circled my head once, then vanished. I no longer had the energy to interrogate him. Some bonds, once snapped, stay snapped. The past needs no revisiting. Tell your next girlfriend to be bigger. I'm only sitting here to make one thing crystal. We're broken up. Those were your words, remember? Shane, words are like water once spilled. You can't scoop them back. You be the bigger person for once. I stood and looked at him one last time. The varsity jacket he draped over me when the weather turned cold. The faint scent of laundry detergent when he leaned close. The restrained, feather-light kiss under the sycamore tree. The public declaration he shouted amid a crowd, his earnest promises still echoing in my ears. He'd said, "Skylar, we'll stay together forever. Nothing can ever pull us apart. We'll attend the same university, then walk down the aisle." It felt as if those moments happened yesterday, yet they were as distant as flowers in a mirror, the moon on the water, forever out of reach. It hurt, but I knew, this time I had truly let go. "Are you seriously going to be this heartless? It was just a tiny mistake. How can you dump me over that? How could you be so cruel, toss away everything we had, toss away me? I've swallowed my pride and begged you to get back together. What more do you want? What do I have to do to earn your forgiveness?" Seeing I wouldn't turn around, he tried to shame me into it. I refused to wrestle with pointless guilt. I'd said what I needed to say. I turned and headed out. He jumped up to block me, eyes gleaming. "Doesn't matter, I can win you back. Anyway, we'll be at the same college. We've got all the time in the world. We will meet again." I stepped back, frowning. "We're out of time. I already changed my college list to a university you couldn't reach even with a gap year. From here on, our lives won't intersect." Days earlier, I'd still pictured a future with him. I'd even browsed apartments near campus. I'd imagined post-graduation life side by side, hands clasped all the way to the end. But when one person lies, every promise shatters. "What are you babbling about? I watched you submit your application. We listed the same school. I saw it with my own eyes." Panic flashed across his face. His hands began to tremble. Before I could speak, Shane's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and killed the call, flustered. It rang again. He rejected it once more. After several rounds, he finally answered. "What? Don't cry, I'll be right there. It'll be fine. Your parents will listen. Everyone knows how close you two are. Don't be scared. 5 minutes." He hung up and gave me an apologetic look. "Something happened to Bianca. I have to go. It's all Hayden's fault. The stuff he said at the party got back to her parents. Her family's super proper. They can't handle rumors, and now they're scolding her. I can't leave her hanging. We'll talk later. Wait for me, okay?" Through the window, I watched him sprint away, brows knitted, sweat flying. Seeing him frantic over another girl, I felt nothing. Time flew. Once my acceptance letter arrived, I focused on getting ready for campus. Now and then Hayden and I went for walks. Life felt full and bright. Just before move-in day, Shane showed up again, a massive bouquet of red roses in hand, the exact ones from his first confession. Skylar, these are the same roses I bought that day, same shop, same variety, same wrapping. See, nothing has changed. As long as you say the word, we can rewind to the start. I even brought the pot sticker dumplings you love from the place below my house. And this summer dress, you've wanted it forever. I bought it for you. Trust me, I'll treat you right from now on. He offered up every little thing I used to adore, cautious and pleading. Ignore the gossip. I cleared things up with Bianca's family. There's nothing between us, and there never will be. I've made her give up. A wave of sadness washed over me. So he'd always known he was giving Bianca hope. During our 3+ years together, I'd almost forgotten this version of him. At first he'd only toyed with her to gauge my reaction. After he realized I'd forgive him again and again, he grew brazen. He'd always known exactly what stung me. He just couldn't be bothered to change. Now that I no longer loved him, he finally panicked. What did he take me for? Let's leave together tomorrow. I'll haul your luggage. We'll head to campus as a team. Sure, Bianca will be there too, but I've told her to back off. She won't bother you. He talked faster and louder, carried away by his own fantasy. I laughed out loud. Skylar, you're not mad anymore, right? Look, you're smiling at me. Seeing my expression soften, he instantly dropped the puppy dog look. He struck that same proud, high and mighty pose again. He reached out, trying to grab my hand. But I stepped back and dodged him. 3 years, and you still can't learn to actually listen to me. I already told you. I rewrote my college list and accepted the one in Eastbrook you could never get into. He frowned, irritated. At this point, what are you still throwing a tantrum about? You can't live without me, can you? Aren't you scared I'll fall for someone else once you leave? There's a limit to how far I'll keep backing down for you. Watching him now felt like watching a clown on a stage. He spouted laughable lines and still believed they were gospel. He didn't realize no one in this world can't survive without someone else. Unhurried, I went on. Want me to text you a photo of my acceptance letter? I used to shelve my future for you. How ridiculous that seems now. A healthy relationship should push both people forward, not force one side to compromise without end. I've woken up. I'm moving on. Shane froze. At last he understood I hadn't been bluffing. I truly meant to walk away from him. This time, the helplessness on his face held less theater and more real panic. His unease was an exact mirror of how I'd looked for those 3 years. It's all a lie, right? You're just so mad you're saying anything to hurt me. Tell me you don't want to break up. Long distance? Fine, we'll FaceTime every single night. Is it still about Bianca? I'll do whatever you want. I'll block her right now and never speak to her again. As he rattled on, he yanked out his phone, fingers trembling harder with each second. I shook my head and rejected him. Wish you two a lifetime of happiness. The sky was wide and blue, the world was enormous. My road still held endless possibilities. You're lying to me, aren't you? Remember the promises you made? You said you'd love me forever, no matter who I became. I've only changed a tiny bit, and suddenly you claim you don't love me. Shane hurled whatever he'd been holding onto the pavement, then seized my shoulders in a steel grip. How many times do I have to say it? I don't love you anymore. Don't make me the villain who has to pry you off, Riley. I won't let go. If I do, you'll run and I'll never see you again. I know you too well. Once your mind's made up, nothing pulls you back. Give me one more chance, just one more. I tried to fling his arms away but couldn't. The more I fought, the wilder his eyes became. Just when desperation crested, someone behind us tore his hands off me. Deaf, are you? She said, let go. The world really can feel minuscule. So small that Hayden, taking out the trash downstairs, ran into us right outside my house. I rubbed my bruised shoulder and stared at the sudden apparition of Hayden. He planted himself in front of me, shielding me. Don't be afraid. Shane's gaze flicked to his face, blank for a heartbeat, then twisted into a sneer. Well, Skylar, no wonder you're so certain about dumping me. Already lined up your next guy, huh? Can't breathe without a man attached, can you? Bianca was right, you're just a fickle little. He didn't finish. A fist smashed into his cheek and shattered the sentence. Dappled shade from the sycamore slid across Hayden's face, giving him a dark edge. Because you're disloyal doesn't mean everyone else is. You cheated, so you assumed the rest of us would. Does blaming the whole world really make you feel that good? The punch snapped Shane's last thread of sanity. He lunged to swing back, roaring, "Spare me the moral high ground. You've wanted her for ages, lurking in corners, watching year after year. Salivating over someone else's girlfriend, so noble of you. Like a stray dog sniffing every trail she leaves. Shane! Smack! I swung my arm and slapped him hard. I'm disgusted that I ever loved you. If I could start over, I'd never say yes to your confession. News of that day somehow reached Bianca. She asked to meet me outside Eastbrook. Uneasy, I wanted to skip it, but everyone had to pick up documents, me included. After I finished and stepped off campus, the street was nearly empty. I had just set foot on the crosswalk when an engine roared. A car barreled toward me, picking up speed. Thud! Someone shoved me into the adjoining lawn. I tumbled a good distance before I could scramble up and turn around. Just in time to see Bianca, driving clumsily, slam into a pole and slump unconscious over the wheel. My rescuer rolled nimbly to the curb, sprang up and rushed over. Skylar, are you okay? Hayden pulled me upright, anxiously scanning for injuries. Only then did I snap awake. Hayden was a mess of dirt and bloody scratches. He didn't care about any of it. His eyes searched only for hurt on me. Your cuts, do they hurt? Just a few scrapes, nothing worth mentioning. I glanced again at the patch of skin scraped raw on his back. Tears rolled off my chin in fat drops. Let's go to the hospital. Once we're patched up, we'll head to college together. I saw your acceptance letter. Our paths run the same from here on. I gripped his hand tightly and walked toward the ER. Hayden trotted along, beaming. At that instant, I felt my heart clarify once more. We didn't speak the whole way, yet the air between us turned sweet and thick, something new blooming silently. Memories of him flickered through my mind like a film reel. Inside the hospital, seeing the wide scrapes across his body, I finally let the tears loose again. An uncontrollable ache spread through me. Unable to hold back, I lowered my head. Our lips met. At last, our hearts spoke without shields. Sunlight flooded the windows and washed the world in gold. This time, I refused to lose. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more great stories. See you next time. The day the test confirmed my pregnancy, I ran straight into my husband accompanying his first love to her prenatal checkup. I've got something tonight. I won't be home, Adrian said flatly, steering Ivy away. I hesitated for a second, then booked an abortion. Everyone thinks I'm Adrian's lapdog. No matter how cold or cruel he is, I'll never leave. He thinks so too. What they don't know is that I'm only repaying a debt. Today, the 10-year promise expires. I can finally end this grotesque marriage. 4 weeks pregnant, congratulations. My period was a week late. A routine visit, and the doctor told me I was a month along. The baby was a complete surprise. I walked out of her office, stood in the corridor, hand on my belly, wondering what to do. My constitution is fragile. If I terminate, I might never conceive again. Suddenly the hallway buzzed. Wow, that's Ivy and her boyfriend, right? Perfect match. She never misses an appointment. He's always with her. So in love. With parents that gorgeous, imagine how beautiful the baby will be. I glanced over without thinking and spotted Adrian and Ivy immediately. She's been parading him as her off-screen lover for almost 7 years. The world believes they're a couple. Last Valentine's Day, the three of us had dinner and got papped. Netizens branded me a scheming homewrecker. Little do they know I'm Adrian's wife. I turned to leave before the humiliation got worse. Ivy called after me. Serena, what are you doing here? Surely you're not tailing Adrian and me. Bless her. I was wrapped up like a mummy, invisible to the paparazzi, but not to her. Before I could answer, Adrian frowned and passed sentence. Just this once, never again. Hearing the word stalking, people stared as if I were the other woman. It wasn't my first time in this spotlight, yet every time it choked me. Adrian made no move to defend me. He escorted Ivy to the blood draw room. Of course, why would he admit I'm his wife and risk his muse being scolded? Absurdly, a moment ago I'd actually considered keeping the baby. What redeeming genes could a man this cold provide? If the child turned out like its father, I'd be gaslighted for life. I registered for an abortion on the spot and phoned my lawyer on the way home. Draft the divorce settlement and get it over here. But we still lack solid proof of Mr. Sterling's adultery. If we could obtain Ivy's amniocentesis and establish paternity, you'd get a far bigger share. I agreed it was a pity. Forget it, half is enough. Every extra day in this marriage where I played perpetual turtle is torture. I'd rather take less money and breathe free. I felt ill and hurried home to rest. Yet I'd barely walked in when Adrian burst in. Normally he's ice cool, unruffled by anything. Now he was running, eyes bloodshot. He seized my wrist. I saw the trending feed. His grip hurt. I pulled free. So what? I hadn't checked. Probably another ivy-planted headline gushing over Adrian's devotion and slamming me for throwing myself at him. Her fans have branded me mistress. So often I've lost count. Adrian was shaking, each word scraped from his throat. The feed says you went to the hospital for an abortion? So that was the trending he meant. I didn't see why he was furious. Yes. He swallowed a shout. You were upset about the awards. I get it. But you don't punish me with a child. That lit my own anger. 8 years in the industry, 5 Best Actress nominations. At last the prize was mine, until he handed it to Ivy. Her followers roasted me as a clown, the perennial runner-up. I'm not throwing a tantrum. We're divorcing, so there's no point keeping it. I've asked counsel to bring the papers tomorrow. Please sign. Adrian's patience, thin at the best of times, snapped. It's only a trophy. Next year you'll get one. Everything else can wait until you calm down. Even faced with abortion and divorce, he offered no apology, only spun his car key and left, as always. No matter how deep the wound, he dumps me to lick it alone, certain I'll crawl back. This time I won't. My parents died young. My sister and I survived together. When Celia's kidneys failed, Eleanor paid for her transplant and my tuition. Out of gratitude, I agreed to watch over Adrian at school, to comfort him after his breakup, to marry him. Eleanor said if, after 10 years, I still felt nothing, she'd set me free. The deadline is here. Next morning, the lawyer delivered the agreement. I called Adrian, no answer. I messaged him the PDF. Check it. If it's fine, come home and sign. A red exclamation mark. He'd deleted me again. His rule. However wrong he is, I must coax him back. He's used to being my son. Thank heaven I can divorce the man and stop pampering him, I muttered. For 3 days Adrian stayed away, cruising malls and red carpet galas with Ivy, headlining the trending feed. Gossip says wedding bells are near. On the 4th day I lost patience and crashed his birthday party. He'd invited only his and Ivy's friends to a villa he owns. The moment I stepped through the door, every eye snapped toward me. Ivy giggled first. Couldn't sit still anymore? The rest of the crowd joined in, mocking. Ivy says Serena's using the divorce threat to squeeze a few good rolls out of Adrian, but he hasn't even blinked. Lee's not falling for it. She's terrified he'll actually sign, so she's chasing him here to grovel. Adrian only ever wanted Ivy. Serena clung to him, milked some family pressure, and lucked into the Vance name. If I were her, I'd keep my head down instead of staging daily meltdowns. Ivy's friends were bound to take her side, and Adrian's friends took their cue from him. They all treat me like a joke. I don't waste breath. I just ask, where's Adrian? Who let you in? His voice reaches me, cold and hard. In seconds he's beside Ivy. Someone whistles. The whole room waits for my humiliation. I ignore them and speak to him. We need to talk. He's CEO of Sterling. A scandal tanks the share price. I'm a major stockholder, and I'd rather not air our filthy laundry in public. Adrian won't grant me that dignity. Say it right here. If you're having second thoughts about the divorce, spare me. I'll agree to stay married. But this is the last time I indulge your tantrums. When someone slaps away your olive branch, you stop offering it. Regret isn't in my vocabulary. I pull the fresh divorce settlement from my bag and hold it out. Sign. He doesn't take it. He just stares, face darkening. So you can make new trouble during the cooling-off period? Serena, I'm not playing house with you. His arrogance exhausts me. Relax. Every scenario you imagine starts with me caring. I've dogged you since high school only to repay your mother's favor. My 10-year promise to her ends today. After this, we're done. You're sick of me? Good. I'm sick of you and Ivy. Cheating behind my back, freezing me out. What exactly should I adore? I expect him to sign immediately. He's proclaimed his love for Ivy and his boredom with me more than once. Yet each sentence drains more color from his face. Shock, panic, fury. By the end his eyes look ready to devour me. He snatches the papers, rips them to confetti, and stalks out. Long legs, fast stride. I can't catch him, and I don't bother. I text instead. I'll be home. If you're not back in 2 hours, my lawyer files for contested divorce. Whatever damage that causes is on you. Splash his affair with Ivy across the headlines and I come out clean, but as a major Sterling shareholder I'd lose millions. It's one reason I've swallowed their insults for years. I check the time and drive home. An hour later Adrian finally shows. He sits on the sofa, blank-faced, silent. I reprinted the divorce settlement. I hand it over. His expression turns even colder. The pages crumple in his fist. My voice ices over. I'm out of patience. Tear it again and we meet in courtroom 4. He hesitates, then slaps the papers onto the coffee table. I never meant to divorce. A laugh escapes me. I dream about divorce, nightly. It's practically my obsession. His throat works, pupils flickering with restraint. He's used to compliance, my bluntness chafes. He drums the table. Sterling's IPO launch could take 2 or 3 years. A split now would crater valuation. Stay married and I'll gift you 5% of my personal shares. I yawn. Call me when it actually happens. I won't wait that long. You're that desperate to leave? Yes. Something in him cracks. Sorrow and resentment flash across his eyes. Serena, 10 years of friendship, 7 of marriage. You never felt anything? All that devotion was an act. Even hearing it feels jinxed. Adrian, replay the past decade. If our roles were reversed, would you love you? Color drains, then floods his face. He bolts out, muttering, I'll have my lawyer review it. If he has an ounce of pride, he'll sign. We met at 18, me the new transfer, him the academic star. He and Ivy, the campus queen, were a legendary couple. Her grades were abysmal, her wallet empty. She wanted to use her face as a springboard to internet fame, and she begged him to tag along. Adrian's father had died young. His mother remarried into money and dumped him on his grandmother. When she passed, he was alone. That loneliness made him latch on to anyone he loved, and at 17 he dropped out to be Ivy's assistant. She ditched him for the platform's biggest spender and laughed at his attempts to win her back. He crawled back to school, grades in free fall, temper explosive. Eleanor asked me to deliver meals daily, make sure he ate, and tutor him back on track. He mocked me more than once, slam-dunking my thermos into the trash. The whole class called me a pathetic groupie, but I trailed him anyway. Junior year, Ivy transitioned from influencer to actress and scored a breakout series. Someone dug up her past romance with Adrian, and netizens roasted him, called a penniless wretch who had no right to reach for a star like her. During those weeks, Adrian sank into gloom. His depression looked ready to swallow him again. Then he decided to storm the entertainment industry, and I became the only artist on his newborn label. To go viral, I chased every trending gimmick and was flamed into a meme. To land one supporting role, I bled wine into a stomach ulcer at dinner after dinner. Luck finally pitted the reckless. I carved out a path with sheer desperation. Adrian confessed, then proposed. His mother feared another depressive spiral if he were turned down and begged me to say yes. I had no one else in my heart, so I agreed. But the day Sterling Holdings rose, Ivy slithered back into Adrian's life, and they picked up exactly where they'd left off. He never once honored the word wife. A man like that, however handsome or rich, could never make me fall. If even a spark dared to flare, he strangled it the next second. The divorce settlement was ruthlessly fair. I assumed Adrian would sign it the moment I slid it across his desk. He did text within 24 hours, only to drag me to the hospital. Eleanor lay in bed, skin stretched over bone, complexion the color of ash. Watching her fade and being able to do nothing twisted my heart until it hurt to breathe. She chatted about the drama I'd headlined, asked after Celia, then finally said, Serena, I'm terminal stomach cancer, months at most. What terrifies me is leaving Adrian behind. A man with his temperament. Only you could keep him tethered. Will you stay? I repay my debts. Otherwise I wouldn't have trailed Adrian for 10 years. But gratitude isn't idiocy. Mom, how many decades do you think a person gets? However large the debt, I've paid it with my 20s. I'm grateful, and you should learn the word enough. Don't you think? Eleanor sighed. After a long hush, she spoke, voice complicated. All these years together. Can't you give him one more chance? I've talked to him. Sterling will cut Ivy loose. She won't shadow your marriage again. I lifted a hand. Mothers always side with their sons. Since we're not on the same page, I'll leave. I'd squared the ledger. The rest of my life belongs to me. I turned on my heel. Adrian, sign or sue, pick one. He chased me out, snatched the settlement, and slashed his name so hard the pen nearly tore the sheet. Serena, don't come crying later. Not a chance. 1 month, courthouse steps. I reached for the papers. He clutched them, eyes boring into me. The IPO will multiply our assets tenfold. Yet you bail now. This isn't you. In love with someone else. Riley? That singer Shane. I yanked the folder free. Who I love is none of your business. If he and Ivy weren't so disgusting, I'd never have walked away from the money. Ignoring his darkened face, I sauntered off humming. Once the ink dried, Adrian and Ivy turned the PDA up to 11. Tonight a birthday supercar, tomorrow multimillion-dollar jewels at auction. Online, fans gushed about Adrian's devotion and Ivy's fairy tale luck. Fine by me, assets split, nothing linking us anymore. Except Adrian the lunatic insisted I attend his deal briefings, drunk or sober. More than once he cornered me in a hotel corridor, slurring, demanding to know whether I'd slept with Julian or Shane and the exact date I'd cheated. Worst of all, paparazzi caught us on camera and splashed the blurry photos across the internet. Ivy's fan army swarmed me. Trying to take advantage of a drunk CEO, shameless fish, have you no face? The boss and man have a baby on the way and a wedding planned. Fish scram. Stinking fish, always stealing from man. Look in a mirror first. Those were the polite ones. The rest decorated every profanity in the dictionary across my ancestors' graves, each pixel an assault. I called Adrian. In 4 weeks the divorce is final. Flaunt your love after that. The louder they boast, the fouler her fans bile. No one enjoys daily curses. His voice came icy. We're practically divorced. You have zero say in my dates. But if you're having regrets, we can still cancel. On condition you cut contact with Julian and Shane. I laughed in disbelief. Adrian, do I look like a doormat to you? Acting docile too long had convinced him I was tame. I hung up and dialed my publicist. Press conference 2 hours. I've had the venue on standby, was waiting for that sentence. She swooped in with glam squad and contracts. I wired her $100,000 for emotional damages. Reporters packed the room, plus hordes of Ivy's supporters chanting slurs. Homewrecker shameless. CEO loves man. Who do you think you are? Security tried to evict them. I raised a hand and smiled. Me. Just Adrian's lawfully wedded wife, nothing much. I lifted my marriage certificate into the Klieg lights. Silence detonated, shock on every face, including Ivy's minions. I've invited you journalists to witness this. I married Adrian 7 years ago. He cheated with Ivy for 7. I'm done. Divorce settlement signed, and I'm terminating my contract with Sterling Entertainment. Furthermore, Ivy hired paid trolls to defame me. Netizens have flooded me with libel. My attorneys have compiled the evidence. Every single perpetrator will be served. I nurse small grudges. Whoever trampled me will learn the meaning of payback. The press conference ended, and the internet exploded. OMG, Serena and Adrian are actually married. I've always found Ivy fake. How dare a mistress flip the script and play victim? Adrian's scum too, treating his own wife like that. Trash man, trash woman. Every lovey-dovey video and photo Adrian and Ivy had ever posted was now yanked out to rot under the glare of ridicule. One luxury endorsement after another dropped Ivy. Roles she'd already booked announced recasts. Even her Best Actress trophy was retroactively voided by the committee. Word had it unhinged fans were mailing her funeral wreaths and dead rats. All the cyberbullying she once aimed at me was now chewing her up in equal measure. Ivy rang me, shrieking. Running your mouth out there is nuking my market value and wrecking Adrian's rep. There's no way Sterling can IPO now, maybe not even survive. You're a major shareholder. Your own fortune tanks with it. Have you lost your mind? Just a few facts, didn't think that was so unbearable. Tell your Adrian to scrub the trending feed for you. Oh wait, he might be a little busy right now. Vance, see you. I'm not deaf, lower the volume. If you miscarry from rage, don't blame me. I hung up, and within minutes Adrian showed up at the door, face like storm clouds. He stared at me deadpan. Hurt the enemy 1,000, hurt yourself 800. Ever since you fell in love your IQ's dropped? For Julian and Shane you've torched almost 1 billion. Did your brain get chewed up by a dog? I lifted a brow. Looks like the Sterling CEO's intel is rusty. I already dumped my shares. You're the only one bleeding, my hands are clean. 3 days earlier, while he was busy flaunting Ivy around, I'd had Celia sell my stake to the second largest shareholder, Leo Dong. We sisters took different surnames, dads and moms, so nobody connects us. Because my controversy-first fame could hurt the firm, my shares had always sat under Celia's name. Besides Adrian and Ivy, no one knew. As for Leo, he and Ivy were thick as thieves, constantly tripping me up. Zero guilt screwing him over. Adrian's face was pure disbelief. You set me up? Oh, so you can scheme and disgust me, but I can't hit back? Spare me the victim act, it's nauseating. I'd given him and Ivy chance after chance. They kept pushing. The debt of gratitude was paid. I wasn't wasting breath on the brain dead. I kicked him out. When we signed the divorce settlement, I kept this house. But Adrian kept dropping by, annoying, so I moved to a new place. A bunch of close friends carved out time to visit together. You hid a whole marriage from us, impressive. Letting a mistress dance on your head for 7 years. Were you training to be a Ninja Turtle? Enough gloom, congrats Serena, you're free. They came to celebrate, but I'd just had an abortion. I was sentenced to bland food. They scarfed spicy hot pot in front of me, sworn enemies, every one of them. Oscar-winning Riley's public persona is ice-cold and meticulous. Fans think he's the criminal mastermind he played on screen. In reality, the man's a clueless goof, our favorite chew toy. Shane, born rascal, knows Riley can't hold liquor, yet keeps topping him up. One glass and Riley's flat on my rug, hugging my thigh like a koala. Serena, stop spinning. The room's tilting. Carry me in a game, 10 seasons and I'm still not king. I play dodgy but can't bush camp. They flame me, I can't flame back. He gets so pitiful his eyes glimmer with tears. Shane and the gang are howling. Me. I'm busy saving my pants before he yanks them down. Riley's manager is despair incarnate. 5 assistants aren't enough. If fans ever see this, his ice god brand implodes. Who knew he was such a dork? Exactly. Blame that solemn, gorgeous face for the false advertising. After the chaos they filed out, schedules tighter than mine. Shane whispers on the way. Little sis, I've looked out for you since debut. My bro says if you jump to our label, we'll beat Julian's revenue split by 1%. His big brother owns the company, Shane's ultimate trust fund spawn. I'll think about it. Once they're gone I collapse on the couch and channel surf. For years I'd chased Adrian's dream. I'd forgotten what lazy felt like. Half a month later Sterling's still glued to the trending feed. IPO prospects deep-sixed for years. Honestly, a shame. If it had gone public my payout would have fatter. 2 days before the divorce cooling-off period ends, Adrian asks to meet. He's haggard, eyes bruised, cheeks hollow, Rowan territory, thinner than when Ivy dumped him. After a month's rest, are you feeling better? He asks. I sip my tea. You ran into me the day of the abortion and for days after. Never a peep. Concern now feels a little late, don't you think? I really wanted that child. You aborted without even telling me. I can't help being angry. You're hardly short of heirs. Don't act like this one mattered. In our relationship, Adrian was always the lofty aggressor. Roles reversed, he frowns, itching to erupt but swallowing it. Awkwardly he adds, the baby Ivy's carrying isn't mine. I've never touched her. I admired my fresh manicure and answered lazily. I know. She humiliated you so many times. There's no way you could accept her without resentment. You enjoy watching her rack her brains trying to please you. That's exactly why you signed her in the first place. Of course, you also strung her along with empty promises, coaxing her to trade her body for favors from those big shots, so Sterling could rake in resources. You plan to squeeze her dry, then leak everything she's done and plunge her to rock bottom. That's your revenge. And you let her milk your name for hype and even turned a blind eye when she bullied me. All because you'd heard the rumors about Shane and Julian. You decided I'd cuckolded you, and you couldn't swallow that insult, so you used her to pay me back. Besides, Sterling hasn't needed my paycheck for ages. You can ride those gossip waves to force me out of the spotlight. That way I never have to touch another man, and you finally feel safe. Am I right, Adrian? After all these years, I know exactly what he is. Every big break he ever got, Ivy bought with her body. So when Julian and Shane handed me opportunities, he naturally assumed I'd sold myself too. What he doesn't know is that they're not the only ones. Plenty of A-list actresses and female execs send me scripts and contracts as well because they see the value in me. Unlike him, they know a woman is worth more than her skin. Adrian's expression shifted several times as he listened. Finally he rasped, if you understand all that, there's no need for divorce. I never cheated, and I never wanted to split. I rolled my eyes. Don't tell me you think infidelity is the only reason people divorce. Adrian said stiffly, I won't let anyone walk over you again, but you have to keep your distance from other men. No more intimate scenes. If you've got other conditions, we can talk. I refused without hesitation. Forget it. A rich, gorgeous woman with the brain can live any happy life she wants. I don't have to play house with someone I loathe. Adrian, the day after tomorrow we pick up the divorce certificate. Be there. Otherwise, if the story about you pimping Ivy hits the feeds, it'll hurt Sterling a lot more, don't you think? Adrian's face turned ash-gray. I savored his reaction, then sauntered away. 2 days later, I walked out with the divorce papers in hand and terminated my contract with Sterling. When I'd first signed, I'd set the exit penalty at 10 grand. Adrian had been so sure I'd never leave him that he hadn't batted an eye. Now it was too late for regrets. I sued Ivy, the paid trolls, and the netizens behind the worst slander, pocketed $3 million in damages, and donated every cent to charity. earning a wave of goodwill. After weighing my options, I joined Julian's boutique studio. Shane blew a fuse. "Julian, you scheming diva. You lured Serena in with only a 20% overhead cut and got your uncle to manage her portfolio. Everyone thinks you're clueless. What a scam." He ranted to Julian's face, then kept grumbling wherever he went. Even on a variety show, he griped straight to the camera. The show's director, loving the drama, invited Julian and me on as surprise guests. On camera, the host asked, "Riley, Shane's been calling you a schemer. Any response?" Julian stayed ice cool. He lost the bidding war, so I'm generous enough to let him vent. Wouldn't want him green-eyed and rabid. Shane nearly unfriended him on the spot. I bought him 2 extra sweet bubble teas and promised to sneak him Julian's sister's contact. That finally calmed him down. Yes, poster boy Shane plays the reckless heartthrob in public, but worships from afar in private. He's been quietly crushing on Julian's little sister for almost 3 years. Too shy even to ask for her number. One look at her and he blushes mute. Whether Julian is genuinely dense or all these years he's never once let Shane be alone with her. Once I'd recharged, I stepped onto the set of Settings Sail. A year later, I hoisted the Best Actress trophy. Without the homewrecker label and with the studio's muscle, I landed 3 top-tier luxury endorsements. A Hollywood sci-fi franchise director even floated my name for his next leading lady. My star kept rising. Adrian and Ivy, meanwhile, crashed hard. In barely a year, Ivy slipped into obscurity, reduced to supporting roles in web dramas. Sterling lost its cash cow and its reputation, and Adrian's once swaggering IPO launch stalled. Just treading water became a struggle. Not wanting to be outshone by his ex-wife, he cut corners and pimped out newer starlets for resources. The roster ballooned, revenue flatlined, and the industry dubbed the company a gutter tabloid outfit. The night I won Best Actress, I ran into Adrian outside my building, or rather, he'd waited to corner me. He reeked of whiskey, every inch the wreck. "Serena, this year I've thought it through. I love you, I just loved you wrong. I was never taught how. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I really regret it." The man who'd never bowed now lowered his head before me, eyes shining with pleading. "We had 10 years. Can I have one more chance?" I handed him a tissue, pitying but unmoved. "Go home, it's cold." Then I walked inside with my assistant, laughter echoing as I shut the door on him. No excuse justifies hurting someone. He isn't sorry, he's beaten. Had Sterling gone public and soared, he'd sneer at my short-sightedness. I'd be a footnote, same as Ivy. Luckily, I never bank on anyone but myself. I'm my own safe bet. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. See you next time.